Nolan Gorman has mercifully been sent down to Memphis. Why this is a good thing and was the right thing to do on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on Twitter, X, at JD Sports Radio, and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Stop on by, like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted, because this is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. First, before we get into the Nolan Gorman stuff, holy smokes, what a game and what a win on Wednesday night. We had drama. We had excitement. We got a pinch hit Baker bomb. We had a shirtless rally guy behind home plate. Some people were requesting that I go shirtless on today's show. Talk to the bosses. No good. They do not want that to happen. So I can't do that. So shirtless guy, that's all yours. And then we had the walk-off grand slam from Nolan Arenado. It was a hell of a ride. It was a hell of a ride on Wednesday, and we will talk about that a little bit later. But I want to start with the Nolan Gorman news from yesterday. The Cardinals made a bunch of moves on Tuesday that, got the fans talking, got them arguing about firing this guy and firing that guy, who's being wrong, who should be on this team, who should be at Memphis. It's the most life I've seen out of the fan base since the trade deadline, honestly, because everything's been kind of down in the dumps and sad because they kept losing and there just wasn't a lot to really talk about. There was just plenty of us to whine about, which we've all done plenty of, but not a whole lot to get conversation going. Everyone has an opinion on it, and we are going to get to some of the thoughts in today's show with some of the fan feedback because I want your voice to be heard. But then on Wednesday, they made another major move by optioning Nolan Gorman to Memphis and recalling Jose Fermin. Now, I say a major move because of who Gorman is, not what he's been doing, because he's been basically a bench player for a while now. Hasn't done a whole lot with the stick, and it was just going in the wrong direction. And it didn't seem like there was any way that he was ever going to come back and be able to contribute to this team, which still has not given up on possibly making the wild card. They haven't done that yet. They're not waving a white flag. They're not quitting. You've seen the Ali Marmol quotes after the games like, we're not going to quit. So we're going to keep fighting and we're going to keep trying until we're done. But we're not quitting, which is great. You don't want a locker room that's already been like, yeah, we're screwed. Let's pack it up. Let's start playing all the young guys and benching everybody. We don't want to go there yet. I'm one of the guys that has stuck up for Nolan Gorman through thick and thin. I attached myself to him and was like, look, I like this dude. I think he's going to be really, really good. I know what he is and I know what he isn't. Now, he is not a guy who is going to hit 300. All right. I think most people understand that. He is a guy that is going to strike out a decent amount. He always has. Even with all the success in the minor leagues, he struck out a ton. This is not new. But what he does do to make up for those strikeouts is he gives you a real threat of damage every time he's up at the plate. Could put one in the seats at any moment. That's what he gives you. He's dangerous. You can strike him out, but he's dangerous. If he gets a hold of it, he doesn't even have to hit it flush, and it's going into the stands. In my eyes, the ceiling for Nolan Gorman, the guy who I kind of want him to be like, and I feel like he's going to be like at some point, is the Dodgers' Max Muncy. Muncy averages over 162 game season, a 227 batting average. That nothing to scream home about, right? And that's going to upset some people because people want better stats than that. But In this day and age, hitting over 300 isn't all that common. So 227 is more realistic. It's not good by any means, but he also gives you 35 home runs. He gives you 95 RBIs. He gives you an OPS plus of 122. He gives you 157 strikeouts. But could you live with that? Could you live with 227 and 157 strikeouts? But 35 dingers, 95 ribbies, OPS plus 122, above average defense. Could you live with that? I could. And earlier this year, he was on pace to do stuff like that. On June 4th, 53 games into the season, he was on pace for 43 home runs and 95 RBIs, along with 220 strikeouts. But from that point on, things started to go south, and it got bad. Over the next 54 games, he hit just 170 with 5 home runs and 19 RBIs, but the strikeouts were still there, 79 of them. So that's a pace over 162 games of only 15 home runs, 57 RBIs, 237 strikeouts over 162 games. That you cannot live with. That's no. Just no. No means no. And whatever is going on with Nolan Gorman, whatever the causes were for him to look the way he did at the plate, they haven't been able to fix it. And it got so bad that they weren't even playing him anymore. He was just on the bench. Couldn't start him against lefties. Afraid to start him against righties because he couldn't put the ball in play. And what were the words of John Mozeliak just the other day when talking about young hitters? They got to play. They got to play. They don't belong on the bench. He cringes at the idea of something like that happening, right? Well, Gorman had become a platoon player. That's where they had him. And that is something that cannot happen with a guy at his age, with his talent, and his possible future. So finally, Mo makes the call and says, all right, enough's enough. Let's send him back to Memphis. Because he wasn't getting any better. If you had seen any sort of progression, then maybe you keep him around. That way you can get him in the lineup. But again, a team that is still fighting for the wild card spot. They're not giving up. You got 6 weeks. So, we've seen stranger things happen. But you couldn't put him in the lineup anymore. You couldn't trust him. He comes up in a lot of big situations, and it's a strikeout. And you just couldn't do it anymore. And I know you could say the same thing about Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. These guys don't have options. You can't send them to the minor leagues. That's they're stuck on this lineup, and you're going to live or die with those guys. But I think this demotion, I think it's a good thing. It's not the team, and don't take it as the team is giving up on Nolan Gorman. This is not the last time we're going to see him. Heck, he could be up later up this year if things get good at Memphis. I heard people talking about, well, we should trade him. They're not going to trade him this offseason while his value is at its lowest point. Like, what? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Why are you punting on somebody at his age with his capabilities who just 2 months ago was on pace for 40-something home runs and almost 100 RBIs? You're punting on that guy after a 2-month stretch where he looks lost. Like his career's over in your eyes. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, that's so ridiculous. And trading him at his lowest point of value. Hello, Dylan Carlson. Is that what we want to do again? You need another Sean Armstrong? No offense, Sean, but considering where Dylan Carlson started, getting you in return for him seems like a loss. But, it opens up the conversation of why? Why is this such a common problem with young hitters in this organization? Like, why does it keep happening? I wish I had the answers. I don't. But it's all I think about. Like, why are these guys not becoming the hitters that we all envision until after they leave this organization? It's crazy how often it happens recently. I don't remember what the hell happened back in the 2000s, but the list of people who have moved on from here and have carved out some really good careers. And I don't care who you need to hire. They got to figure this out. Like, what is causing the regression of a guy like Nolan Gorman, or what happened to Dylan Carlson, Jordan Walker. Why? What's going on here? 2 years ago, heck, last year, Jordan Walker in the second half of the season was awesome. He was a really good hitter. And then nothing. Outside of like this last week and a half that Jordan Walker had at Memphis, it wasn't like he was doing all that much in AAA. Why? Why can't they fix this? And I know injuries played a major role in what happened with Tyler O'Neill, as well as Carlson. I mean, who this spring finally looked like the guy that we all thought he could be at some point, the guy that we saw that rookie year. And then he and Walker collide in the outfield in Arizona, ruining the start to his season, ultimately costing him his role in center field after the Tommy Edman injury. It was Carlson's job to lose, and unfortunately, injury took it away from him. Michael Ciani fills in, takes off. End of story. Like, is it how they're being taught? Is it what they're being taught? I wish I knew. I wish I was in the meetings. I wish I could understand it all. Like, why is it that Ryan Ludwig shows up in Memphis and helps fix Victor Scott in just a simple conversation? Like, what was it? Why wasn't Victor doing this before? Like, why isn't he following the advice of Cardinals instructors if they also thought that the leg kick was a good idea? Like, why? How are they just like, nope, not doing it? What do you mean you're not doing it? Like, that we're trying to help you, man. Like, why would they say no to the instructors? It's crazy to me. And it's not like all the young hitters are terrible. I mean, Mason Wynn, great year. Alec Burleson, huge year, right? Michael Ciani, still a rookie, was getting better before his injury. Like, his batting average kept climbing and climbing. Was one of the hottest hitters on the team before he got hurt. But there's something wrong here. And whatever it is they need to do, go like deep Titanic search diving. It needs to be done. If you ever want to compete with these payrolls, so these teams that are like 250 to 350 million, if you're not going to pay that price, which is apparently not what the Cardinals are interested in doing, and I respect that. It's your money. I get it. Then you got to develop your own talent. You got to be better at it. You have to grow it on your own and let it thrive in your system. And this goes for not only hitters, but pitchers too. Like, you're seeing the highlights of Teen Kent's and Quinn Matthews and how great they look. I hope it continues. Do you trust our organization to help them continue their strides that they've made? Tekoa Roby, Sim Robertson, Ian Bedell, Cooper Jerpy, Michael McGreevy, who looked great in his one start with the Cardinals this year, but hasn't been that great in the minors. Gordon Graceffo. Like, they need these guys to succeed or they're screwed. If you're not going to pay the price that it takes to bring in the free agents. It's easier said than done. I know it's not simple, but they just got to figure it out. Something has to happen. The window of Goldie and Nato is closing. Next year is where you need this to be your core. You need Mason Wynn, Alec Burleson, who seem entrenched and great. They're at the top of the lineup. Awesome. But you need Jordan Walker. You need Nolan Gorman. You need Lars Nootbaar. Michael Ciani will be in his second full year. Apparently, he's going to be a part of this future now. Like, he looked great this year. Contreras, Nato, Donovan, they're still going to be there. Maybe even Goldie. Don't close the book on that yet, but it's time for this young group of players to rise together for this franchise. And if Walker, Gorman, and Newt do what they did this year, then we are set up for more disappointment next year in 2025 and more mediocre seasons like you're seeing. So that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comments section. We're going to do some fan feedback and answer some questions next on Locked On Cardinals. Life gets busy. Life is real busy. And even the most dedicated gym goers, they struggle with consistency. I am one of these people. Like, I've got 4 or 5 different jobs going around, and sometimes it's hard to squeeze in that time at the gym, even though I love it. You know, the commute to get there, dealing with traffic, finding parking, waiting for weights, cleaning your machines. It makes skipping a workout very tempting. With Tonal, though, You can choose from thousands of workouts and train in a way you actually enjoy, and you get to do it from your home. All right. Tonal is the world's smartest and most effective strength training system that helps you get stronger. Powered by AI, Tonal learns with every rep so it can deliver workouts personalized just for you. It's like having a personal at home with you, as Tonal will optimize every single workout just for you. It's there for you, not for everybody. Like when you go to a gym, that is all the common stuff that is meant for everybody. Okay. This is geared just for you. Just you. Unlike traditional gym equipment, Tonal uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques. And again, it fits your schedule. You know, you can shave off the time wasted going to the gym and get right into your workout when you're ready. So when you have like, all right, I got 45 minutes to squeeze something in here real quick. I want to do it, but it would take me 20 minutes to get to the gym. And then I got to come back and the time's gone, right? Don't have to worry about that when Tonal is right there. And right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Tonal.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off your purchase. That's Tonal.com, Tonal.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast with Sully, who was here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor. He's getting you ready for the Fall Classic, has covered you all season long, and continues to do it every single day on Locked On MLB, which is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Remember, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcasts with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Cardinals. Time for your voice to be heard in our fan feedback segment, or as I've been calling it recently, Unleash the Fury, which comes from the road trip movie when he's talking to the snake, trying to get him to eat the mouse. But a lot of people have been angry and upset recently for a lot of good reasons. The team is probably not going to make the playoffs for a second straight year. Haven't won a playoff game since 2020. Haven't won a playoff series since 2019. And as a spoiled fan base, we are not used to this. And I got a tweet last night, and I believe it was from a Cubs fan. I wish I had copied what his name and stuff was, but I believe it was a Cubs fan, to be honest, who was like, oh, boo-hoo. The Cardinals have 2 tough years and want the franchise sold and everyone fired, you bunch of brats. And at first I was like, whoa, dude. Name calling, unnecessary. But then I was like, well, there's some merit to that, to be honest, because we are spoiled brats. And it's okay. The Cardinals fans do not know a lot about losing. It's been a long time since we've seen our teams struggle the way they had the last 2 seasons. We expect a certain level of competition. We expect a certain amount of money to be spent because we show up and pay. So we think our ownership should do the same thing, right? And we expect a certain amount of success. Cardinals fans are so old school. We are so old school. We want to see the stuff that we wanted to see in the 40s and the 50s. We want to see hustle. We want to see effort. We want to see solid fundamentals. I want to see smart base running. Like last night, there was the play where it looked like they were trying to steal the run. Runners on first and third, 2 out. Tommy Pham at the plate. Lars Nootbaar is on third. Matt Carpenter is on first. Matt Carpenter goes to steal second base, and it looks like one of those plays where they're trying to get him to throw the ball down. That way Newt can come home. Newt never runs. Easy out. Inning over. What the hell was that? That is not good base running. That is not what we want to see. And that is the stuff that will make us boo you. But if we see all of these other things, the simple things, the little things, we see that the fans, for the most part, are not going to crush you. You're giving the effort that we expect out of you. But if we don't see that, and you lose, and you keep losing, you're going to know about it. And we're going to show you that we're upset. And after 2 straight years of this crap, you're seeing it at the ballpark. Busch Stadium is a ghost town right now. Another career low for Busch Stadium 3 last night, under 30,000 First time other than a pandemic year that that happened. So, and it's not likely going to rise unless they start winning a bunch of ball games. I mean, it's sad. You see Paul Goldschmidt's 2000th hit, the home run, was in front of like a few hundred people. Last night's walk-off grand slam by Nolan Arenado, not a lot of people around there. It's sad. But fans have decided to do other things with their money because they don't think they're getting the effort they deserve. And that's their right as fans. When the front office makes poor decisions over and over and over again, if the manager, and I'm not talking about just Ollie, but anybody, can't get these guys fired up the way fans think they should be, or keeps relying on guys that aren't producing and continues to stick to their ways, those are the frustrating things that drive them nuts as fans. And I know we live in a world today that patience is not something that most people have anymore. And I know that's a Mo trigger word, but if a guy has 2 bad games, some fans are like, bench him. He sucks, trade him. And that's not realistic. That's just you having a reaction to something. That's not how the game of baseball is done. But there does come a point where changes clearly need to be made, and this franchise has waited too long to make them. Nolan Gorman, I feel like, has been on this team a little bit longer than he should have been. I know they don't want to give him the idea that they're giving up on him, but if you're not going to play him, let him go down there and figure it out at Memphis, where it's very less stressful. The Brandon Crawford thing, I got into it with a guy online last night. I felt like Crawford was on this team too long, not because he's a bad guy, not because he didn't do good things in the locker room, but his play on the field didn't match what the Cardinals needed from a bench player. And yet there he was all the time, just kind of rotting at the end of the bench. He wasn't contributing hardly at all. Giovanni Gallegos, how long have we dude, he's toast. Time to move on. Finally, they did it this year, but it seems like they waited way too long. And like I said yesterday, the Crawford mood being long overdue, what was the point of him on the roster since June other than a voice in the clubhouse? Winner's your guy. You need someone who can hit lefties. He doesn't do that. Doesn't offer you any kind of base running upgrades. What was he really offering you anymore? So that was my argument with that guy on there. It's not that Brandon Crawford's a bad dude. I think Brandon Crawford was probably awesome. I know he's buddies with Goldie. I know he's buddies with Arenado. Good veteran presence, but that's what Matt Carpenter's there for. Why do you need 2 of those guys? And yeah, he can play shortstop, but Jose Fermin can play shortstop. And he gives you an upgrade in the speed, gives you a little youth. He's just got the versatility that Brandon Crawford can on the infield. Now, he doesn't hit lefties as well. I was looking at his splits, which, but that's why Lucan Baker is on the roster now. That's his job to do that. So, anyhow, let's go to another one from Chris on YouTube. Paul Goldschmidt looks toasted. Are they really thinking about bringing him back next year? Honestly, Chris, I don't think they've ruled it out yet, which is a little scary considering the regression we've seen since his MVP season. I get that it isn't easy to bench someone who has a Hall of Fame resume like Paul Goldschmidt, who's a great guy. Another guy like a Brandon Crawford. These are great dudes. They're great guys. Been a class act his entire career. But when you're 5 months into this season, and it's honestly been almost 2 years that he's just continuously gotten worse and worse and worse. The idea that he's going to magically turn back into MVP Goldie from 2020, it's long gone. It's long gone. You just got to admit it. And that's okay. It's okay. It's the end of his contract this year. That's okay. That's the whole point. We milk every ounce of baseball we can out of you. Contract ends. His career winding down. It's all ending at a perfect time. It's unfortunate he wasn't able to do better last year and this year because the team was, relying on him to be better than what he is. But it's not like you've got him under contract 3 more years. But here's the thing. You've got 2 guys on this roster right now who could be your first baseman of the future in Alec Burleson and Lucan Baker. Now, Burley struggles against lefties, okay? Not a small sample size. We know that he struggles against lefties. Lucan Baker hits lefties very well in his career in the minor leagues, granted. But why not a platoon next year? You know, you can platoon outfielders. Why can't you platoon over at first base? These last few weeks of the season, again, I know they haven't given up yet, but you need to figure out what these guys can do. Can Burley play first base? In the lineup on Thursday, playing first base. Does Lucan Baker's bat play at the major league level? Looked good last night on his home run. But if you don't test it out, how do you know? How do you know if it's going to work or not? So you just can't hold back the future just so you don't hurt somebody's feelings. They're grown men. This is a business about results and winning. And I think Goldie would understand that if he has less playing time the rest of this year. Nick on YouTube, Mo and his team of yes men have destroyed this organization. Mo and DeWitt have done so much damage that there's only one way to fix it, a top-down rebuild. They must hire a new head of baseball operations and allow them to change the front office, scouting, player development, and coaching. I'm not holding my breath, though. Nick, I am not disagreeing with you here. I think this organization has gotten lazy. I think it got stale. It didn't change with the times. They were kind of smug about it all. You know, things had worked so well for so long. We know what we're doing. And now they're playing catch up. And I think it's weird that, you know, there's just been a lot of crazy drama. It's weird that the last three managers they hire have never managed in the big leagues before. It's weird. It's weird. I think it's weird that one of them, Mike Schilt, was let go for philosophical differences, despite being groomed in your organization. When did it change? Like, what happened? This guy won a Manager of the Year award, was a finalist for it again. Could win it this year in San Diego. Could win another one. He's thriving out west. But for whatever reason, shown him the door. I think it's weird that they hyped up the return of Yadier Molina this year, and he never showed up. We never heard from him. I understand life happens. There were things, I guess, that he had to take care of back home. I get it. But that was like a major selling point at the beginning of the season to make fans feel better about this new season. And nothing. They don't talk about it. They never brought it up again. They just were like, shove it under the rug, act like it never happened. But it was strange that Ali got an extension to avoid backlash. Not because he was a good manager, but because they wanted to avoid backlash if the season started off poorly, which it did. Just a lot of odd behavior, you know? Certainly not the stable winning formula that we've known over the years. Like, this is the stuff that happens everywhere else, not in St. Louis, not with our team. And it's been on our doorstep for a couple of years now, and it's gross. I don't want it. I don't want it in this house anymore. Get it out. All right, speaking of winning, the boys pulled off a fun one last night. I want to talk about it and reminisce about some positive things. We'll do it next on Locked On Cardinals. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. You can shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, you get their expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and you talk to a real person every single time. It's not press 1, press 2, press 3. If you want to hear the menu again, please press 0. Like, none of that. You get a real person. Pros in the, can you tell I've dealt with that stuff before? Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So join the thousands of trade pros who have already benefited from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. With the season winding down, there's only so many home games left to catch your Cardinals in action, and Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball that makes getting tickets faster and easier. And as you probably noticed, plenty of good seats available at Busch Stadium these days. They got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets, and it's not just for baseball, though. You could save up to 60% on last-minute tickets for all sorts of sports, NFL, preseason football going on, college football, as well as concerts, comedy, theater, all of it. They've got flash deals, which is an area where you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. You'll see the little lightning bolt on top of those things. They got the all-in pricing, which I'm a huge fan of. You toggle this feature, it shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You don't go, ooh, there's a $13 ticket, and then you check out and it's $39. Yeah, all-in pricing available. You get the seat views, you get the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. It really is a beautiful thing. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB, which is LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast with Sully. Fall Classic just around the corner. He's got it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the Cardinals haven't had a lot of come from behind late inning walk-off victories this year, but what a scene it was on Wednesday night when they came from behind a couple of times to get the win. Nato, obviously, with the walk-off grand slam, which was fantastic to see. Quick thoughts on the game last night. Kyle Gibson, decent outing, 5 2/3 innings, allowed just 2 runs, 5 Ks, 2 walks. Visibly upset when he couldn't get through 6 with the lead because the Cardinals staked him a 2-0 lead and he couldn't get through it. Bullpen was a bit shaky last night. They all had trouble with their command last night. 6 walks between Fernandez, Romero, Kittredge, and Liberatore. The most infuriating ones for me were the leadoff walks to Hoskins in the 7th, which led to the Brewers scoring 2 more to take the 4-2 lead. Then again in the 8th inning, after Luken Baker has this dramatic pinch hit 2-run dinger, which was awesome to see. Got the curtain call. Awesome. Great to see that. Comes in the position he's been called up for and delivers with a huge mash into the bullpen in left field. And then what happens to lead off the next inning? Jojo Romero walks Willy Adames. Seriously, if I could have thrown my remote, I would have. It infuriates me when they don't throw strikes. Like, I cannot stand it. So that happens. Kit comes in, they get it out, and then Kit walks a guy. Hoskins, I believe it was again, and they both end up scoring, making it 6-4. And it's like, here we go again. Here we go again. It's either one thing or another. Like, I described it like playing whack-a-mole last night on Twitter X. I'm like, one thing goes good, something else pops up. Like, it's unbelievable. But lucky for the Cardinals, Devin Williams implodes in the 9th inning, can't find his command. I don't know what, it was something with the mound last night. I don't know. But he hits Contreras, then gives up a double to Jose Fermin. Nato goes down swinging. You're like, golly, dude. Newton walks. Goldie looks like he gets hit by a pitch, but nobody calls it. Ends up going down on strikes. Pitch was inside. Wasn't a strike. Wasn't in the zone, but they called it anyway. Just the season Goldie's having. So now you feel like you're kind of set up for another disappointing loss. But then Carp and Pham show patience. They take walks. Ties the game up. Just bizarre how wild everything got in these innings as far as these pitchers. Helsley looked awesome in the 10th inning, and the Cardinals get an intentional walk. Then Fermin walks to load up the bases with 1 out for Nato. And I even tweeted out, I was like, there's no way he doesn't win it here, right? Right? Like, I've seen him succeed too many times to think that he would fail again. And he'd had a tough night. Dropped a pop-up in foul territory. Didn't use 2 hands. That's going to piss Cardinal fans off. He whiffs in the ninth with 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. And we know it all goes away with just a sac fly. All right, Nato delivers here. All's forgiven. You're cool. And Nato does the best thing he could possibly do. He says, screw it. Not taking any chances. Puts it in the seats in left field. Line shot. Gorgeous. Walk-off grand slam. Cards win it 10-6. And live to fight another day. I got a picture of it from my YouTubers. Them getting hit with the cooler afterwards. Who was that? Is that Contreras and Newt doing it to him? It's hard to tell there. But anyway, huge win because the team is on life support. A game they needed badly. They need every single win they can possibly get to stick around in this. Now 2-7 against Milwaukee with 4 more left against them. Michaelis on the bump on Thursday has not been very good. Can they catch lightning in a bottle again against this exhausting Brewers lineup who is just, I mean, I just tip my hat to them, man. Like watching them and their bats, like they are so disciplined. They don't chase. They foul off a million pitches. Everything I wish the Cardinals hitters were, the Brewers are who I want them to be like. They don't rely on the home run to get all their runs. They'll take their walks. They'll steal the bases on you. They'll bunt. The multiple bunt attempts last night after they had the lead again. Like it's all the small things that they do right that the Cardinals don't, which has them separated by so many games. And it's going to be tough for a guy like Michaelis today, who is a pitch to contact guy. So good luck to Miles. Mix up your speed, stay in and out, don't miss over the plate, throw strikes, don't put them on, don't hurt yourself. And may God be with you. All right, thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube, do me a solid and help the channel grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. I'll see you next time, hopefully with even more good news, because it worked out last time on Locked On Cardinals.